Good evening, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the MasterClass.
Hi.
Joshua, my man, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I can't tell yet whether I'm coming down with a cold or if I have fall allergies. So I
Oof.
have a deep booming voice tonight.
I just got over that. Actually, I was dealing with it the
You
first
were,
show.
you were
So
2 weeks ago, yeah.
there you go. You're welcome. Uh,
Yeah, halfway across the country. Got it.
yeah.
Thanks. Love you.
Guys, gals, drop in the comments where you're tuning in from tonight. We love seeing where everybody is watching tonight. Tonight, we're going to get into the unboxing and the start of the ARF and what
Indeed.
my man Joshua likes to recommend you do once you pull your new shiny plane right out of the box.
Indeed. And most of the time they are shiny when you pull them out of the box. Sometimes you want that, and sometimes you don't. And there are solutions to these things. Guarantee it. Yeah, definitely bleep bloop your location. Seeing people tuning in, that's great to see all over the country. It's awesome. Iowa, West Virginia, Wisconsin,
South
awesome.
Dakota, PA, Phoenix, West
Yeah,
Virginia. Yeah, we got coast to coast pretty
absolutely.
much covered. So that's good.
Sheboygan. That's such a fun name to say. Gotta say it. All right.
You didn't grow up in
Um.
the Midwest.
So tonight, shall we get into it, Brian? Just dive
Yeah,
right in.
yeah. Let's
All
do it.
right. All right. So I am gonna move you guys. Hi. You're gonna go down here. Mostly because you don't want to see my face anyway. You want to see the plane. So tonight I'm going to focus on things that I do to parts as they come out of the box. Number one, this is a great opportunity to go over parts to number one, make sure you have them all, but also see that they are in good order and things that you need to address. So the first thing I want to point out is that covering. Covering can come loose in shipping, and it can certainly come loose in other ways. So most of these models are all made in Vietnam. There are a number of different manufacturers, but several of them are in Vietnam, and it's very hot and it's very humid. So climate change is a thing. So you can have wood shrink a little bit when it gets to your climate, and it can warp a little bit. And so sometimes you really need to go over your film coverings with a bit of heat to resolve some of those issues. So that is a bit of something on the to-do list this evening. Tools that I will be using. I'm going to go ahead and prime my covering iron. I've got one of the Hanger 9 covering irons just because that's what's commercially available anymore. I do really like the 21st century irons. If you can find those, more power to you. But definitely want to have something not just with numbers on it, but with specific temperatures, because there are specific temperatures when you do different coverings that will call for a specific temperature. Some are low temp, some are high temp, some are somewhere in between. So it's important to make sure that you have something that you can actually measure temperature with. Alternatively, you can pick up an infrared thermometer for pretty cheap off of the Jungle website. So I'm setting that at 280 degrees Fahrenheit. I've got my trusty Harbor Freight heat gun that is covered in all sorts of shop dust and paint and everything else, because this is a handy tool, and I think it was only like 10-15 bucks. So those are our two primary heat sources. Now, when you go over to do the covering, you want to make sure that you're applying even heat, okay, especially on surfaces that are sheeted. So this particular center wing section, all of the space is covered in balsa underneath, on top and bottom, with exception of this little spot here and here. Why? I don't know. Not sure. Probably has to do with manufacturing and putting in these tabs is my suspicion, but I don't know. Hope I never have to find out. But that's really the gist of it. Is you want to apply nice even heating. There are some minor imperfections that you can try to draw out. Let's see if I can draw some reflections on some of it. There. Maybe you can see that little divot there. Some of it's just rash from shipping, and most of it will smooth right out. It doesn't have to be anything too particularly fancy. You can try to massage it out a little bit with your covering iron, and that did it for that one little spot. Again, so notice that that spot is much flatter now. But overall, we definitely hit it with the heat gun, and we apply the heat nice and even. I like to work from the center out and just try to uniformly shrink this and get it more or less accustomed to our climate. Because my climate here in Maryland is very different than Vietnam. And again, you're not looking for any drastic change in the morphology of the film. It's just doing this on a small level. And sometimes there are bubbles that you'll want to have removed in your covering, and this will be part of that solution. But for me, I find the best results in doing this because once this gets out into the sun and the sun hits it, it's gonna just kind of do its own thing, and we're trying to manipulate it into doing what we want it to do evenly. Because you can get different sun angles, and that will do different things on the surface. So again, just make sure you're nice, even application of heat. Yeah, some of this black did some additional shrinking. I could see it. It happens in an instant. So when you see it, you can blink and miss it. Yep, this one's doing it too. Yeah, the yellow's not seeming to do it nearly as much, and that's okay. I'll take it. But that's really all that's needed on this panel. But what we also need to do is something that I find is one of the most important steps here. So I have a number of mounting points on this wing for landing gear as well as the wires. And so what we're going to do is try to chase all of these T-nuts. The T-nuts are, or blind nuts, they're on the bottom side, behind these holes. So what you want to do is get your set of Dubro drill and tap set, and make sure that you look into the good question, Ray. I am using the low setting on the gun. If you use the high setting, particularly on yellow, you risk burning the color, and you can make it very splotchy. So even though the covering may be intact, you can actually burn the pigment. So make sure that you're using a nice low setting and you don't do that. But yeah, we'll use our Dubro tap and drill set. Go into your instructions and to the step where there's mounting, making use of these mounting holes, and you can figure out what hardware. In this case, we're using our good old friend metric, the best measurement standard. I don't care what you people say. You're all crazy if you don't use metric. Because I like to divide easily by 10, not by 8. It's much easier to do in my head. So what I use is a little bit of 3-in-1 oil, just household 3-in-1 oil. And I'll put a little bit on my tap. And then I just go in and literally chase the threads. I clean them out, because part of the problem that we'll have is that there's glue or dust or these pieces of hardware are made on such an industrial fast scale that they don't use really sharp cutting tools, and so you won't have very precise threads for when you go and put in the hardware. So it makes a difference to take the time and cut the threads.
I just dropped the link to the tap and drill sets in the chat, and currently all tools are on sale till midnight tonight, 20% off.
Ooh, big fancy. Now, I'll be honest, I already did the ones on the edge already, just for the sake of time. And I will say that there was one screw hole that was filled with epoxy. I had to drill it out, and I had to, well, I drilled it out with a small drill and then a little bit bigger, and then I was able to chase the threads. So you definitely have to go and do this. And I am using a device called a pin vise, and this one was just purchased right off of Amazon. I prefer a more sturdy pin vise because I have really big hands, and some pin vices have really small, thin jaws and handle, and I mean that's good for working in small spaces, but it's not good for trying to grip things with big bear paws that I have. And so you can tell that these are pretty tight threads. And so cutting them open just a little bit better with a high quality tap is gonna make them exactly what we need moving forward. All right. And then to clean the little burrs and pieces of metal off, I just simply brush them off with a wire brush. Some people like to use a little bit of paper towel, but I find that paper towel can gum up inside of your tap. So I just brush a little bit, and then it'll stick to the brush because of the oil. And then I'll go back with some brake clean on my wire brush over a garbage can. And that'll get the rest of the little burrs off. Gotta keep up all appearances with my Mr. Clean image.
I'll have to find that. I know I got that in the archives. Yes, the 10-piece sets have all the tap sizes.
So the tap sizes.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the tap sizes in this set. I've got 5, 4, 3, 2.5, and 2 millimeter, and that includes the drill that you need as well as the tap. The imperialist swine are going to get 1032, 832, 632, 440, and 256. Again, drill bit as well as the tap that you need. Brian, there are also drill and tap sets for like quarter 20, right?
Yes, I believe.
I was gonna say
there's a quarter 20, so there's 256, 440, 632, 832, 1032, quarter 20. And then 5 millimeter down to 2 millimeter on the metric side, with the 2.5 between the 2 and the 3.
Right. And the only reason that I bring that up is because the quarter 20 is very useful for, it's a very common thread pitch, even on this kit, the wing bolts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are quarter 20 thread. Kind of remarkable. I have seen metric in some of these in wing bolts, but I did verify in the kit that it is quarter 20. At least I'm pretty sure. My eyeball may have been miscalibrated at that time. But anyway. Moving on. So when you get something in the box. It usually comes in some nice plastic wrapping, so you can just undo the tape and pull it straight out of the package. This is how I'm getting it straight out of the package. I'm going to put a little piece of foam that I like to work with. And this is where we can just start going over the model and looking for any imperfections, anything that we need to be aware of. As you can see on this model, we've got all pocketed control surfaces again. This is really nice to see on these Seagull models, that they have these really scale control surfaces. And the way that we can remove that is through pins, and it looks like we do not, oh, we do. We do have access to the pin on the root of the flap. So there's a piece of tape holding that pin in there. Let me get that up closer. And you can remove the piece of tape should you need to actually remove this, but we really don't. But this removes the pin rod all the way through the whole length of both control surfaces. Okay. But yeah, looking at adhesion, there's a couple of wrinkles, very tiny wrinkles on the edge of the wing, and we have some additional holes we can chase threads on there as well. The one thing that I will note is when you address the covering with the heat gun is that you do want to kind of go light around any of these areas with the masking tape. The masking tapes that are provided usually use a pretty sticky adhesive, and what I'll warn you, I'll just demonstrate it for you. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I know it because I know it's going to happen. It happens every time. So you go to pull this up, and you're just going to pull it. And what it does, you can kind of see it in your reflection. Mm-hmm. The tape actually pulls the covering away from the wood. It's super annoying. It's super annoying. So it leaves like a little bubble, and so that's why I say, like, if you're gonna go and do the heat shrink thing, it makes the adhesive more stickified onto this, and it makes that a little bit worse. You can peel it slowly, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to have to go back with your trim iron and address that later once you get to the point where you're putting screws to hold all of your servo hatches on. So, again, you don't want to go too terribly hot anyway, because you're just trying to do basic shrinking. Because it's already been shrunk a little bit, you're just trying to get it to the point where it's behaving according to your climate. So note how I'm going around these pockets.
So for the guy that likes to overdo things, if you were to overdo it, what is the course of correction?
So unfortunately, you're going to have a bad day because they don't give you any additional covering material to do any repairs in these kits. You may have to buy a whole new wing, and while that can be done, it's going to be kind of painful. The other option, which honestly I would highly recommend, is that you pull all the covering off and then recover both wings.
Okay.
The reason that I suggest that is because, number one, you'll learn a lot, but number two, you can actually do a higher quality covering in the process. So, for example, my current build in my shop that I talked a little bit about last week is a quarter scale cub. and I'm covering it in Oratex. Now, on the Ryan, the full scale also makes use of the same fabric kind of covering. So you can take that Oratex and just recover the whole wing, and you'll have a much higher quality finish in the process. You can go even further and do rib tape and rib stitching and cover it with pinking tape, but you don't have to. And that's sort of the beautiful part. And that's the approach that I'm taking with this model is I'm going to build the wings as they come out of the box. And if I get just absolutely enamored with this model and I love it, I can pull the wings apart and I can recover it. And I can do all that stuff later. Even if I don't have the budget for it or I don't have the time, I just want to fly the model, you can recover it later. And that's the fun part, is making things prettier. All right, so we're going to go to more difficult. We're going to go to the rudder. So the reason that we're going to go to the rudder is because I spotted this while it was in the package. And I said, oh boy, here we go. All right, so this is a funny shape, mostly because we're shaping the empennage in addition to the rudder, right? So we've got this transition between vertical stabilizer and the fuselage. Well, of course, this gets glued on, but this is a curved surface because we have an airfoiled horizontal stabilizer. We'll get there in a minute. But what I want to point out is, again, I have to use the reflection of the light. There are some small dimples. Can you see that? Almost. There, right there. See that one? That one's the worst one. So that is a little bit of stretching of the covering because it was up against a sharper point inside the box. And that's the kind of stuff that we want to remove. There are several more bits and pieces like that here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to try removing with the heat gun because it's much less aggressive. We need to hit it anyway. And you can see how it just loosens up right away, right? Like it hasn't been shrunk. See how it gets all gross and wrinkly and then it starts to get tight again? Mm-hmm. And that's that. It just hasn't been shrunk all the way. And so we're making sure that it's nice and evenly shrunk across everything on the model at this point. And again, you saw me take this straight out of the bag. This is kind of wild to watch. Here, you can see it really well here. All right. Let's do the other side. We'll start up at the top again. It just goes right away. But again, notice how I'm not holding it on one spot. I am fanning it so that I'm not leaving it on one space so that I'm not burning the color. Remember that? And then as it shrinks, remember we're trying to maintain this curvature down here. So again, work it while it's warm. Don't be afraid of hot things. If it's there for a moment, it's not going to hurt. Okay, so now I'm going to go over the vertical. Doesn't need it nearly as badly, but we still should go over it just for good measure. A little bit of wrinkle in that rib right there. A little bit right there. That came right out. A little bit of refinement and stretching right here on this curve. It's kind of expected. Nice.
Have you ever had an ARF come out of the box that didn't need a little bit of reshrinking?
Never.
Okay.
Never. And I've been doing this a long time.
So PJ asked a great question. Can you shrink it too much to the point of warping the wing or rudder or elevators?
You can, yes, but generally not on ARFs. ARFs are usually engineered to be sufficiently rigid enough that that won't be as much of an issue. Part of the reason that I do one side at a time and not one or the other is because you'll shrink one side and then you'll shrink the other. And since it's under tension anyway, when they cover it at the factory, you know, it's only going to move ever so slightly. And so you do one side and it's going to shift, do the other side, it's going to shift back. At least that's the idea. It's going to be here or there, but it's not going to be enough that you can't trim it in flight. At least that's been my experience. If you have a more delicate model that you've scratch built, yes, absolutely. I've done that before, where I have went to cover something and next thing I know, yeah, my wing isn't supposed to be shaped like that. So we've got more of the same. Again, this, you can see this just doesn't take that terrible amount of time. You just have to be careful and observant with a lot of this stuff, because it really does make a difference in the overall appearance of the model once you get it out in the sunshine. And part of my methodology will also be to use different lights. So I have a light that is shining from above. I also have light that's shining at me. So having different angles to create different reflections is very helpful to spot different things as you work. It also helps to use different colors of lights. So you may choose to have like incandescent in your basement, maybe you have fluorescent, but maybe you choose a specific daylight color. And then maybe once you've done all of this, you take this out into the sunshine and have a closer look if you're being even pickier than me. And you can say, hey, you know, I don't like this, I'm going to do a little bit more. And that's fine.
Suitor family said I have actually induced washout with just shrinking the covering while maintaining the washout warp.
Yeah, I've seen people do that too, where you can force washout. It does take some patience and finesse, but yeah, that absolutely is a thing. Also depends on the model. All right. So that's pretty much it. H-stab, wing, vertical. I didn't bring out the other wing. So I'm going to do something that maybe some people may find questionable, but I assure you that there is a bit of right now the fuselage from the box off camera, and I'm going to show you what the fuselage looks like. Okay, so it comes with the hatch on it, right? But immediately upon taking it out of the box, I noticed a series of ridges. Okay. And the reason for these ridges is because this fuselage was on the corrugated cardboard inside the box. And because of shipping, we have an issue. Where's my foam cradle? All right. So let me show you this in the light so you can see very faintly here, but the worst of it is right here. See all those ridges right there, those vertical ridges? Well, they're horizontal on your screen, but they're vertical to the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so those are ridges from the cardboard packaging because, again, it was sitting sideways like this in the cardboard box. So we are going to try to remove that because you may want to use this covering just as it is. You don't want to take it apart. So we are going to try to refine some of this. We got a little bit of a wrinkle here. That's stretching out nicely. And that's getting much more subtle. Now I will note that this covering is quite silvery, which matches the full scale quite well. There we go. There we go. Definitely needed to be hit with that iron to massage not just the covering, but the wood underneath of it. So just with a little bit of heat, you can see that this area does not have that anymore at all. So that's not hard. That's not hard. It's not that difficult, but you take it out of the box and you're like, oh my gosh, how could this happen? It was damaged in shipping. No, it wasn't. It's just an artifact of shipping. And it's not the end of the world. You have the skills, you have the tools. It's not rocket surgery. It just takes a little bit of patience, all right? Now, all of that said, I have a confession to make. All of this covering on the fuselage is going to go bye-bye. So I fixed all of that for nothing. I got something in store for you guys. So that is yet to come, but I will do a quick demonstration of removal. And that's the other thing that I thought I would cover, is that sometimes you don't want this covering and you do want to strip it off and do a different kind of covering. Again, that's okay. We can make that work. So this is the hardware for the hatch. Set the hatch aside. All right, so the fun part here is that you get to figure out where the overlaps are. And so this model's kind of fun in that it was covered quite well top to bottom. So I'm going to angle you down and I'm going to remove this portion here of the turtle deck just for funsies. Well, I hope it's not that nerve-wracking, Brian. All right, so this is where you start to get a little heavy-handed with the heat. You are going to try to isolate it. My fingernails are usually not sufficient, so that's why I'm using my straight edge, and I'm just peeling up one little corner and pulling a little bit at a time. Let it get soft, let it get hot.
Caution, do not burn yourself.
Yes, indeed. It does get quite hot. I'm not kidding. So note how I'm heating while I'm pulling, and I'm doing it all slow. Just sort of letting gravity do the work for me. And there you go. One sheet removed. All right. And that goes in the garbage can. Now, why might I be doing this, you ask? Brian, why am I doing this?
Well, you said you had something up your sleeve.
I do, but I don't have long sleeves on, so.
Wait.
All right.
Wait.
What? Oh. We're having fun with the new features, huh?
We do have a question real quick.
Yes.
Do you think that covering is basically the same as monocoat?
Depends on the covering. Depends on the covering. So, this stuff, I will say no, but yes. It's got adhesive on the back like monocoat, but it does not stretch the same. It's closer to a vinyl. And this also depends on the color. The yellow, absolutely, very similar to a monocoat, a conocoat, China coat. What's it called? New coat, new covering, something like that. Anyway, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but this silvery stuff is close, but it feels a little bit thicker. It's a little bit more, like it's less resistant to stretch when you tug on it. And it definitely will not take compound curves nearly as nicely as other stuff. So yeah, it depends on the covering. It's fairly true for a lot of colors, even among like the monocoats and the conocoats or whatever. Within a specific family of coverings, the different colors can have different effects on how well they stretch, how well they behave. So like transparent films will, generally in my experience, they're very brittle. Once you cover something, it's very easy to like flick it and puncture a hole in it or something like that. Whereas the opaque coverings that you can't see through, they're much more resilient. And then same thing with metallics. Metallics generally don't shrink as much. They're less forgiving, so you want to try to keep them pretty taut as you cover. Just my experience. Your mileage may vary. Again, by admission, I am terrible at covering films, which is why I don't do them very often. So, any other questions?
No, but should we do that giveaway now?
Oh, sure. Okay, so the Ryan, without cheating, how many cylinders did the engine have for the Ryan PT22?
Winner is getting a tap and drill set.
That's a good prize, my friends.
And you get to choose standard.
It is not 9. It is not 9. See, I thought this would be a good question because most people think of like 9. It is not 7.
Forget the heartbeat.
It is not 8.
5?
This is a good question. Wow, I did not think that I would stump this many people on this question.
9, 5, 7, 8. Lower.
It is lower. It is. There we go. It's 5. Very
good.
Well,
we had a 5. Brian.
We did? Oh, Brian, I didn't see it. It was in words. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he typed it out.
Yeah, good for you. I can English today.
I can English today.
Brian, yes, it is 5. It was in fact a 5-cylinder radial. Kind of weird, I know. But yes, in the early 1930s and mid 30s, radials were not quite as refined as we imagine what they are. We think of radial engines as like these phenomenal things, but they really didn't come into their own until the war came out. If you recall, the P-40, one of the first major heavy fighters of our country, had an Allison engine, an inline engine that was water cooled. Okay, so Brian, orders at Dubro.com, right, Brian?
Yes.
Yeah.
Email us orders@dubro.com and just drop in the subject line masterclass question and then leave your address so I know where to send it and if you would like standard or metric.
Metric. Just saying. All right.
Congrats.
Congrats. Very good. Golf clap. Golf clap. All right. So the trick up my sleeve. We don't need another drum roll. So I had the wonderful opportunity to attend an event recently in Fredericksburg, Virginia. They have a wonderful flying facility there, and some really phenomenal builders came out, and I met the gentleman, Thomas, who rebuilt the Mack Hodges B-29 Super Fortress, 20-foot wingspans, massive airplane. Has 4 150cc engines on it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a beast. He forgot the tailplanes at home, so he didn't get to fly it. He was kind of mad at himself. But the beautiful thing about it is I got to have my tent right next to his and observe his work. And I was able to observe the work of other people that copied his work. And one of the great things that I have learned is to try new things. And I am going to literally try a new thing with you all on camera and just show you my process of trying new things. This is chrome vinyl.
Ooh.
Okay, super, super shiny. Those who have been longtime viewers of my YouTube channel remember back in 2018, I did the flight metal look, which works very, very well. My P-47 is a flying disco ball, and she's beautiful. I flew her at Fredericksburg, and still just an absolute gem to fly. But I'm going to use this new covering technique on this airplane because the Ryan had a very polished metal look to it. And there are a number of examples that I've seen to this effect where the fuselage is just this polished aluminum. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a very good base to start with. This reflective surface, like I can easily see a silvery look here and see my face in the covering. It works very, very well. We're going to try something better because we want to do some more scale panel lines. This is a lot of real estate and we can try to dress it up. So in the coming days, what I will be doing for the in preparation for the next masterclass, we'll be stripping the remaining covering off of the model, as you've seen me just do. Shouldn't take long. And then I will be fiberglassing the fuselage with 3/4 ounce fiberglass cloth. You can pick this up online. I will also be not using epoxy because weight. I will be using, oh my god, I run around here, a product from our friends at Deluxe Materials. I will be using Easy Coat. For those that don't know, Easy Coat is a water-based solution that you can use to do laminations of all sorts of kinds. It's a great supplement for resin. So I can apply multiple layers of the Easy Coat onto the fiberglass and fill out the weave, get a nice smooth finish, because anything that is visible or you can feel it, you will see through this. This has to be immaculately smooth, okay? So I have a lot of work to do. Okay, once I get all of this off, I have to sand everything meticulously. I highly recommend foam-backed sanding pads. And once I do that, I will draw out, or sorry, I'm going to do all of the fiberglass work. Once all of the sanding and the fiberglass work is done, see if I need to do any additional work in the form of like a high build primer. Since I'm not going to be painting anything, I probably don't need the primer, but we'll see how the finish looks. I may need to do some like pinhole filling and such, but I could probably knock that out with the easy coat. So that, and then I will have to transfer panel lines. I'll do panel lines in pencil. It's very light pencil mark is all you need. And that way, when we come back to the next masterclass, hopefully I'll figure out how to do this stuff, because I've never done it before. But I tell you, the work that Thomas has done, so he takes this very stuff, I'm using the exact same stuff that he has demoed on his YouTube channel, and the way that he instructs it is very good. He rolls out a piece of it, and if you want to do a brushed metal look, you just take some like red Scotch-Brite pad, and you can run it in one direction, and it creates a grain like in the metal, and that way you can do like horizontal and vertical and like diagonal grains to break up the model so that it looks like it's paneled with real metal. And this stuff just sticks on there, and there's application tools and tape that you have to do to mark off each panel. So we'll go through all of that. We'll go through all of that in the next masterclass, so you have something to look forward to. And you know that we really are diving deep on this model. We're not just assembling this. We're not putting bolts together here. We are truly going to build this model right, and it's going to be fun. Questions?
Questions. Q.
I can wait.
Do 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 do.
Right? I
Do,
mean, do I need to do a little dance?
I think
right.
that chrome is going to be a nice little touch.
Yeah.
And I've seen some of those models that Thomas has done with that stuff. It looks really good.
It does.
Dynamic RC said, "Hooray, polished metal."
Indeed, without the metal part.
Brian is asking, can you say again what the new metal covering is called?
Yeah, it's really a vinyl covering, adhesive vinyl, HT Vrunt. That's the brand. I can get links and everything for the next masterclass ready to go. I'll send that off to Brian, because there are a number of other tools, like these applicator tools, as well as the vinyl tape that I'm using. There are a number of different things that will help in this process. It is very similar to the application of aluminum. If you want to go back to my YouTube channel and take a look at that, the surface preparation is all exactly the same. It's all exactly the same. The only difference is that I'm using the Easy Coat product rather than sanding sealer or water-based polyurethane. It's a bit thicker of a product, and it has slightly different properties. But yeah, it's all the same surface prep. You got to make everything super smootha. Super smootha. Otherwise, yeah, you will know. You will know when something is underneath.
RJ is asking, where do you get the chrome, and then cost compared to the monocoat?
Okay, so good question. Good question. I got this off of Amazon, and I think the roll was like $13. And it's 12 inches by meters. I'll get all that info. God, you guys kept me off guard. I didn't think I'd have this much interest in. Just wait, tune into the next time. We'll have all the answers next time, okay, guys? But I'm glad you're thinking ahead.
Yeah. RC Barnes says that'll look beautiful on Orion. Look forward to seeing how to apply. I just wanted to throw out there too. RC Barn is building some planes right now that I believe are getting auctioned off for a good cause. I know I sent him some Dubro hardware, so head on by the RC Barn YouTube channel and check out what he's got going on over there too. Boom.
Yeah, we got a little message in our inbox today too, didn't we, Brian?
We did. Please share.
Yeah, so I want to give a shout out to Dynamic RC, who is tuning in tonight, who just happened to be inspired by our build, and he always wanted to build a Ryan PT22, so he picked one up from Gator as well, and he's going to build right along with us. I hope that you send in some pictures and that we can compare notes.
Yes,
I hope that we can build something beautiful together. I think that's going to be really cool. I know Dynamic does really great work, so I'm excited. Any other last questions so that we can duck out a little bit early tonight?
He said yes, waiting for better weather for test flights. Dynamic said looking forward to it.
Yeah. As you should, sir.
Yeah.
As you should.
I do not see any others.
Okay. Well, until next time.
Wait.
I appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. I hope that it was helpful. These are just, again, some basic things that I do. Once I get into assembly mode, I'm just assembling, and anything that comes loose I can touch up with the iron, and it's plug and chug from there if you want it to be. I don't want it to be. Okay, I promise we are going to draw this out. This is going to be some work. I've got another couple of surprises too, so don't think that this is the only trick. This is going to be fun.
Looking forward to it. I'm already liking the chrome because you didn't even tell me about that. So
I know. Mostly because I was traveling for work.
David is asking, does a polyester resin substitute, he missed the name, add less weight than the resin, and does it help keep the surface even at the glass fiber overlaps?
Yes, good question. So when I do my resin coverings, I use epoxy. I do not use polyester. So polyester is more exothermic in the chemical reaction, and so it creates a lot more heat, which can cause damage to the wood. It can also cause warping, among other things, but also the flash point. So again, where I live, very, very humid. And so because of the flash that polyester usually has associated with it, my experience with polyester is that anytime it gets exposed to atmosphere where I live, it doesn't want to cure out because of the humidity. So for example, when I'm mixing my epoxy, I'm mixing, with a stick, and the atmosphere gets churned in there a little bit. Well, that atmosphere, those bubbles, has moisture in it. And so the moisture gets combined in there, and so they don't like to catalyze. So I use normal epoxy resin, but I can tell you, having worked with epoxy, polyester, and this stuff lays really, really well. It's thinner in terms of weight. Depends. Again, depends. If you are a person that's using peel ply, for example, on your fiberglass layup, probably going to be about the same. It's going to be about a wash. If you're heavy-handed with your epoxy and just going to do like one coat and it's going to be thick and you're going to sand it back, yeah, this is going to be lighter, hands down. So that's a really valid question. In terms of the surface area of this model that we'll be working with, it's really not going to add that much weight anyway over this material that's already covering it. I can try to take some weight differences, but my experience is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The amount of detail that we're going to add to this model, particularly up in the nose, will offset any weight that's in the tail, and so that's why we're just going through and we're going to have a good time assembling this model with some fun details.
Four Eyes FPV is asking, will the vinyl work in an open bay structure?
I don't see why not. It'll be very much just like an iron-on covering. It just has adhesive on it that is not heat activated. It can shrink, but you'll see in the application that you may not want it to go in open bay structures because of that. You'll see when I work with it, the way that you apply it, it doesn't lend itself to open bay structures very well at all. Yeah, that's best I can say. It's like I said, it's very similar to applying aluminum, the aluminum flight metal stuff. Mm-hmm. You have to effectively stretch it over the compound's curve of the surface, and you have to let the adhesive do its thing. And if you have an open bay structure, you're going to have something that very much looks like an open bay structure. It's not gonna look very nice if it's concave or convex. If it's flat, you're probably fine, but as long as it's a scale open bay structure done this way, then yeah, you can probably get away with it in that particular instance. Be judicial and experiment. You might fail, you might not.
Sweet.
Anything else?
That's it that I see.
All right. I'm glad we had some more questions.
Yeah.
That's great.
Good ones too.
Yeah. Like it. Indeed, technical questions.
Love it. I always like when everybody puts the professor to the test.
Hey man, if there's something I don't know, I will say I don't know. But at this point, I've tried so many things and failed at so many things that I've figured a lot of things out in my time of building.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes it fun.
Not being afraid to fail. I had a technique that I was trying this weekend and wanted to put out a video on YouTube. It didn't work out. Did not work out at all. But live and learn. And so I'm not going to share something with you guys where I don't have a solution. If I'm going to share a failure, I'm going to share the failure, and that's what it took to get me to something that does work. Since I'm not there yet, I'm not going to share. So I'll leave that cliffhanger with you.
Speaking of the YouTube, you could scan that QR code in the upper left corner, and that'll take you straight to Joshua's YouTube channel.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Very kind.
Don't forget to subscribe and like. Joshua, your invoice is in the mail.
I'll send you some brownies.
You know me. I like the sweets.
I know.
I'll take it. Yeah. No, good stuff, man. I like the direction. We are already heading, and the surprises that you're already dropping in on the new plane. Sorry, I'm pulling up my calendar because I forgot to do that. Next MasterClass will be November 3rd.
Indeed.
7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock out on the West Coast.
Yep.
The professor will be here live with knowledge. Be prepared.
Yeah, we'll be fuselaging it up. It'll be a good time.
Love it.
Be a good time.
Love it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you on the 3rd. Joshua, as always, thank you for your knowledge.
Happy to help.
We'll see you guys next time.
Have a good night.